Welcome back to America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys formula and America's Medicare Associates with Nolan Baker and Scott Kirshner. 419-794-3030 is the phone number. Online at americasretirementheadquarters.com. What is the magic number to retire? A new survey by Northwestern Mutual show Americans now think they need at least $1.25 million to retire comfortably. That is actually a 20% increase from what they were saying this time last year. You can thank inflation and volatility in the markets as the main reason why that number has gone up. Guys, have you seen people put off retirement trying to reach a number, a target number in their mind, and it comes to find out they didn't actually have to?
I do. I run into that all the time. I know that I had a couple that I recently met with, and their plan was to get to this certain number, and unfortunately, locally, they were cutting positions at her firm, and she unfortunately was forced to retire before she wanted to, and got to that magical number. And the good news is we brought her in, we sat down, we kind of walked through the planning process, and took a look at things, and were able to kind of help address the issue that says, yes, you can retire by having a game plan put in place. When I think about it, a magical number, the first thing I think about is looking at that statistic. So the study shows that they think over the last year the retirees need about 20% more than they did in the previous year when they asked retirees. That number is one is kind of scary, and I guess the reason that number is up so dramatically from the previous year is because, one, you've had the stock market decline this year,
Right.
and then you've got inflation either at or close to double-digit numbers, so you've got that double whammy impact, and people are going and saying, hey, I need more money because groceries are up, or I need to cut my expenses because the market declines happen, and I need to have more money. That is true. The most important thing to think about, though, is everybody's situation is unique.
Sure.
I know, Scott, when you look at it from a healthcare perspective, they talk about different numbers that you need for healthcare. And, for the most part, when you're looking at it, dependent upon where your income is and your thresholds, it's more easy, I'd say, to kind of calculate what maybe would be the lifetime healthcare cost.
Sure.
Because you know what some of those numbers are.
Oh yeah, the numbers are upwards of $350,000 over the lifetime of retirement for someone that you should put that money aside or have that money somewhere available in a catastrophic situation, right? Well, if you're looking at 1.25 million, 350,000 of that's coming right off the top in a bucket sitting somewhere that's going to protect against that catastrophic claim. But and it's important to make sure that you have that. One of the things that I have been a big fan of for many, many years is the health savings accounts, right? You can put that money aside. I've got some clients that have anywhere from $40,000 to $70,000 sitting into a health savings account. Once you are on Medicare, you can use that health savings account money. That is your bucket, so to speak, and that will offset a good portion of some of the Medicare costs that you're going to incur early in retirement and moving through Medicare. But one of the things that you really want to pay attention to is the older you get, the more things tend to break, right? And when I say break, I'm talking about your physical health. That's when you're going to need more of that care, and more of the high cost is going to come into play there. We talk many times we talk about long-term care insurance, right? And if you don't have some of this money set aside for that, it could blow up a portfolio. But no, one thing I want to mention, I'm the senior member of the team here at America's Retirement Headquarters, and I've never even thought about what number I need, right? Until about a couple of months ago. And as we do these shows and we go through and we talk about this stuff, I'm like, I'm surprised at, now I'm thinking about it, I'm surprised at the number of people that are under, 60 years old. They probably don't even think about that number at all. They're just chugging away, working, putting the money aside, doing whatever they're doing, spending their money, whatever. But when, now that I'm 60, I'm thinking, how much am I going to need to have that? What is my magic number, right? How much am I going to need? And I never really thought about that. So, as we do this, and as you run across these people all the time, it makes you stop and think, how many people are really putting a magic number out there? I'm sure it's quite a bit.
Yeah, if you want to know what your magic number is, let me give you a couple of tips on how to figure that out. First of all, what you want to do is you want to break the numbers down. The first thing is you want to know how much money is needed for reliable income. So when you're thinking about reliable income, think about the amount of money that you need on a monthly basis to cover all of the life's necessities, the groceries, the car, the room and board, and add those all up. Those should be covered from sources like Social Security and pension. If you have a gap, we can run a calculation and it can determine if you shift some of your money from your nest egg into another vehicle that provides reliable income, what that number would be. You should have money set aside for fun stuff, to be able to do things. As an example, if you wanted to spend $10,000 a year on vacations and your desire is you're probably going to be more active in the first 10 years of your retirement, that's easy math to figure out what that number needs to be. 10 years, at $10,000, you can do the math and figure out what that number is. Money, as you pointed out, for healthcare related expenses, whether that's your Medicare or supplemental coverage, whether that's your out-of-pocket expenses. As you talk about the issues of what could happen if you needed long-term care. And for there, what we do is we like to try to leverage your dollars to get you more bang for your buck. So if you do have some type of healthcare crisis, you're not paying dollar for dollar to help minimize the amount of money that you need to set aside in those scenarios. What we oftentimes find people is we find people that want to retire before what's considered full retirement age for like Social Security. For a lot of folks, that might be age 66, and they're going to retire at 62. A lot of times they may think, well, I'll just turn on Social Security at 62, and that'll help give me some income until I get to, later on in life. And they'll subsidize that by taking money out of their 401k. We like to create a bucket of money because oftentimes it may not make sense to draw Social Security early and take a lifetime penalty. So if you needed $5,000 a month and you needed that to fund age 62 to 66, again, now you can do the math and figure out what is the bucket of money that you need. What we did in our office is we created this calculator. It's called our Independent Income System Calculator. And so we can go in there and we can type in information about like how much your income is now, how much of that income that you want to replace, what are the various sources of Social Security, what are the expected returns in the different buckets of money that you have. And by using that, it'll actually tell you what your number is. And I like, instead of just saying, well, everybody needs to have 1.25 million, everybody needs to have a number that's customized to their own unique situation. That's why we use our independent income system calculator. There are good planning tools that are out there too. So one of the other things, Scott, is you could take a look at like planning software that we use called Right Capital. So within Right Capital, you could go in and you could say, well, here's the amount of money that I have saved. Here's the age of when I want to retire. Here's the type of income. We can look at the different stages of retirement. So it's not that, every year your income needs to go up by the inflation factor. Sometimes what you find is you want to spend more money while you're young and healthy.
Sure.
Go spend time with the kids, take them on trips. When you get later in life, maybe you slow down. Expenses can go down, except where you pointed out in the fact of unexpected or big healthcare costs that, could increase those numbers, and look at it in the different stages. Software like Right Capital like that, we can help those of you that are listening out with. What it'll do is it'll do an analysis and it'll tell you the probability of success. So it'll start to look at scenarios and it'll say, well, what if you do have that healthcare crisis?
Sure.
How does that impact your plan? Or what if inflation stays high? What if the stock market continues to crash? What if tax rates go up by 20%? What if Social Security fails? So it's running through all of these scenarios, and it's giving you the probability of success. Then if the output, let's say the output is you have a 65% probability of success. That is a good start, but maybe it's not something that you feel comfortable with, that you're ready to move into retirement time. By having it within the planning software, then what it allows us to do is it allows us to look at different scenarios. So like, what would it look like if we optimize Social Security? Well, what would it look like if we helped put a plan in place that protected you from the market crash? So when we stress test it, what were the biggest things that derailed your plan? And now what are the solutions? And by implementing that, you can kind of recalculate the numbers, and then it could show you, you now have an 85 or 90% chance of success. In fact, one of our most popular videos on our YouTube channel talks about that software, and it's our review of Right Capital. You go over to America's Retirement Headquarters on YouTube. Again, just buzz on over to YouTube, look at the link below, and just type in America's Retirement Headquarters. In our review of technology, you can take a look at the review of what we did on Right Capital to help you figure out, what is the number that you need. Right. And in fact, if you're listening, if maybe you've been listening for a while, anybody, the first 5 callers, so any of the first 5 callers that call us up, will give you a free access to be able to get into the software and be able to crunch the numbers. We can give you our insider code on how to be able to get in there and help you run the numbers. So if you want to know what your magic number is, as a way to say thank you as we're thinking about the holidays and how thankful we are, we'd extend that out to 5 people who contact us to give us free access to our planning software to help you know what your magic number is.
So keep this number in mind, 419-794-3030. Take advantage of this. Be one of the first 5 callers and get access to that and figure out what's going to work best for you going forward and what your chances are. A lot of that worst case scenario, but it's better to go ahead and plan for it and find out you'd still be okay than have it catch you off guard and those things really derail your retirement. 419-794-3030.